What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Welcome to the first ever San Antonio Brahma Bullpen. We are a fan group, a tailgate group, a podcast group, a YouTube group, whatever. We just want to talk XFL. We want to talk San Antonio Brahma football. We might even talk a little gambling. We might talk some NFL. Who knows? But right now, we're going to focus on the XFL and the San Antonio Brahmas to get us through the season. I am the Brahma Bullpen. This is my boy Haas down at the bottom. Haas is a gambling expert. He may or may not have won big once or twice. Who knows? We won't say it out loud because the IRS might be listening. But moving on from that, tonight we're going to do two things for our initial stream or podcast. I don't know what we're going to call it yet. Give a little bit of history about why we're doing this and how we've been supporting spring football here in the San Antonio area. Then after that, we'll go over little player rosters. We'll talk a little defense. And me and Haas here will kick some ideas off each other and do a little spitballing. So, Haas, you want to add anything to the introduction? I don't want to do all the talking.
Only thing I got to say is come on.
Let's get it. Roll. All right. So real quick, big football fan myself. I was a AAF San Antonio Commander season ticket holders. My quote-unquote claim to fame there got on TV a few times, and I even made Garrett Gilbert's mom mad at one game. May or may not got talked about on Sports Talk Radio here in San Antonio. With that being said, I got to talk to the coach, and we specifically asked Coach Ward what he wanted us to do as San Antonio fans. We said, you want us to sit on the home field side, support the home field, cheer. You want us to sit at the end zone, wherever you want us. Told him the story about harassing some of the San Antonio Commanders, some of the teams playing the San Antonio Commanders, such as the Orlando guys, and also that's team out of Utah that shall not be mentioned. But it wasn't on purpose. One of the players started talking trash to me and a couple of my buddies at one game. So we decided to harass the guy back. All in good fun. Everything was clean. Had a great time. That led into the second game. People sitting around us wanting to participate in the harassing. Got pretty good. By the third game, we had ESPN putting mics in front of our seats. And we were pretty much the ringleaders of who we were going to harass that day. And the way we would pick who we were going to harass is which player looked like, number one, they could take it. Number two, they were going to enjoy it. We wanted to make sure that they were having that professional football experience as well. I mean, fans, correct me if I'm wrong, Haas, are fans not supposed to harass the opposing team?
It's part of the game.
That's what we're there to do. So we were harassing Garrett Gilbert that one game, and his mom just happened to be sitting behind me. I apologize, ma'am. I wasn't trying to be a jerk, but I did make it clear to her that my job as a fan was to support my team, and her son was on the wrong team. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. And don't even get me started on the fact that he's a T-SIP. And if there's any T-SIPs watching this, the closest thing you'll get out of me for Longhorn support is horns forward, baby. Let's go. Horns forward, never up. All right. Move along, T-SIPs. I don't need you here. All right. So anyways, back to meeting Coach Ward. Got to ask him what he wanted us to do. Told him that little story. And his exact words to me were, I want you to sit behind the opposing team's bench. And I want every team that comes into the Alamo Dome to know that they're on the road. And when they leave the dome, he wants them to remember the dome. Hines Ward was like that. He was a player that liked to talk on the field when he played up in Pittsburgh. And so he wants the team to take that mentality. He wants the fans to take that mentality. So me and the bullpen, me and Haas, and me and all of our supporters, Section 153, we're going to be there, and we're going to make sure they know us. If anybody gets mad at me, understand, I'm not a heckler. I don't like to make other fans and other teams mad, but I got to do what I've been asked to do. You go with that, Haas?
Absolutely.
All right. So that's our little history. We're going to go ahead and get going now. We don't want to take up too much of our talking time, just telling stories. Just so you know, we do have a producer behind the glass. He who shall not be mentioned by first name sits back there. He's doing all of our video editing. So if during that story you saw videos pop in and out and he did something dumb like block my face or whatever, that's the guy behind the glass. We'll think of a name for him later, and we're going to start talking defense. San Antonio Brahma defense, Coach Jim Herman. Been coaching since the 80s, man. 85. I think I was 4 years old when this guy started coaching. Has spent the majority of his career coaching linebackers specifically. He's done a lot of different things on the defensive side. He's been in the NFL with the Jets, the Colts, the Giants. He's been in the spring league last year. I believe he coached with the previous XFL iteration up in hold on. I don't want to lie. I don't want to be caught lying here. Give me 1 second. I'll tell you the exact team he was because I'll get called out. My first deal here, I'll get called out. The New York Guardians. He served as the defensive coordinator. He's going to serve here. He was ranked in the top 3 in defense as a defensive coordinator for the Guardians, so hopefully he can bring that same mentality here. Hopefully he can get our front 7, especially the linebackers going. Stopping the run, linebackers are key. Big boys up front, eat up the blocks. Linebackers go get the ball. So with that being said, we're going to go into a little defensive end talk. One of the guys I want to talk about first, local boy, San Antonio boy, Justin Alexander, incarnate word. Haas, what do you got on this guy right here from a betting standpoint and from a player standpoint? What do you got?
Listen, Justin Alexander, hometown man, 6'5", 256. The man's an athlete. This is not someone you want to be going against on the offensive side of things. If you have him on your defensive end, you feel pretty good. In his last year with Incarnate Word 2018, he had 55 total tackles, 8.5 sacks.
From the D line? Stop. Don't just gloss over that. 55 from the D line.
Yeah.
Hog leg. That's what we're gonna call the big boys. Hog legs.
Here, everything in Texas, it's bigger. You know what I'm saying?
That's right, baby. That's right. He did a little time with the New York Jets. So, he's been at some NFL camp. He's got some experience. We're looking forward to seeing him on the field down here for sure. We're always like to support them Texas boys. Another guy coming to our roster with a lot of experience, also played his college ball here in Texas up at SMU. Delonte Scott, I think might be a starter for us. He played with Green Bay, little time with Pitt, little time with Carolina. You got anything on Delonte Scott there, Haas?
Delonte Scott, 6'5", 245 at the linebacker position. Played 5 years, was redshirted his first year at SMU in his senior season. Played 14 games, had 10 total sacks.
I like it.
He had 39 total tackles and 74 yards for loss. That is an absolute beast at the linebacker position.
That is not bad. We're going to go to another Texas boy. We're going to go down. And if we're going Texas boy, excuse me if I leave someone else out. We're just going with what we know. We're talking about Denzel. Played at UTEP. During his final couple seasons there, he has 65 tackles, 12 tackles for a loss, 5 sacks, 3 tip passes, which is big. Get them hands up. And forced fumble, and he blocked 2 kicks. So even if he doesn't make it out on the D-line, hopefully we get that local Texas guy playing some special teams for us and getting those blocks. All right, so moving from the down linemen, let's talk a little linebackers. We're also going to try to keep that Texas feel for our first episode. So first off, we're going to look at Rico Jeffers, played at Texas Tech. What do you got on Jeffers there, Haas?
Another Texas boy. Texas Tech, 5 years. Got hurt his first season, came back his second. He had a total of 299 tackles.
Shut up. Could they just gave him one more tackle for 300? He definitely had a tackle in there they missed somewhere. Come on, stat guys.
He's a little more off the ball off the backfield of the pressuring the quarterback. He only had a total of 7.5 sacks, but definitely a on-ball tackler coming out of the pocket, obviously, with 299. He had 183 solo tackles and a total of 56 yards for loss. Like to see a little more pressure in the pocket, but obviously he's still a great tackler when it comes into the open field.
I mean, he's got definitely room for growth there. Let's go with the guy out of Baylor. We're gonna look up Jordan Williams out of Baylor. Keep with that Texas feel. See what these linebackers got down here from the great state of Texas.
Jordan Williams, redshirted freshman first year, played 5 years over there total at Baylor. Every year, this is everything you want to see from a kid from freshman to senior year, consistently getting better. Total tackles freshman year in 2016, 29, 2017, 38, 2018, 52, and then finally his senior year in 2019, he had a total tackle of 89. He's a bit undersized for the linebacker position. He's 6 foot, but he is 225, definitely a lot of muscle. He's the same way, a little bit off the ball, off the pocket pressure. He only had a total of 3.5 sacks there at Baylor, but obviously he's a good open field tackler. Started there for at least the last 2 seasons and consistently got better. So that's a good sign for another good tackler.
Sounds good. Sounds good. A little bit of that Texas feel. Pull up some stats on Drew Lewis right now. Drew Lewis is going to be a linebacker. He's not from Texas. He went to the Colorado up there with the Buffs, 6'2", 230. But he does have some NFL experience with New Orleans, and he did play. He's got some experience with the Houston Roughnecks. You know, when the last generation of the XFL back in 2020, the Roughnecks were a good team to beat. Probably would have won the championship, in my opinion. But what do you got on Drew Lewis there, buddy?
There in his last season when he played with the Roughnecks, he played a total of 5 games. And just in those 5 games, he had 17 tackles total. No sacks, no tackle for losses. But that's a lot of tackles for just a 5-game span. And he played 3 years at Colorado. Let's see. It seems his sophomore year in Colorado in 2017 was his best year. He had 94 total tackles that year, 2 sacks and 20 yards for loss. And then his senior year, he came in with 61 total tackles over there.
So he was putting in work. Hopefully he can come down here and do the same thing for us down in San Antonio. Roster updates. We all know if you keep up on Twitter with the XFL practice team active rosters got dropped to 70 players this week. There'll be more cuts to come in the future. I'm going to throw a little plug in here for the XFL analyst at XFL analyst on Twitter. Whoever this cat is, he must sleep inside the XFL offices up there. I don't know who he is or what he does, but he's got great, reliable information. Just this week for the San Antonio Brahmas, they released 2 wide receivers, Cameron Lewis, Tabari Hines. They released a tight end, Travion Hurds. They released an old lineman, Jonathan Isri, and DL Nick Raby. But they did sign a big old lineman, Damian Mama. Damian Mama, here we go. I got you some info on Damian Mama right here. Played at USC, 27 years old, 6'3", 325-pound, big man, hog mollied down in the trenches. Guys that we need. Plays guard. Got tons of NFL experience. Been on Kansas City roster, the New York Giants roster, the Dallas roster, the New York Jets roster, and even the L.A. Rams or Chargers. It just says L.A. I don't know. I'd have to do some research. But one of those L.A. teams sharing a stadium and underwear over there, whatever the heck they're doing in Los Angeles these days. So he's got tons of experience. He's going to come down here, hopefully be one of our anchor guards. And with that, I think that's plenty of time. I think that's long enough for our first podcast. We don't want to bore nobody. I'm going to throw it to you, Haas. Do you want to talk any NFL player bets for this weekend? We got the Philadelphia Eagles. Suck. Cowboys lost. Sorry, everybody. Playing the San Francisco, wish they would have lost 49ers. And then we got on the other side, we got the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are probably one of the best teams I've seen in my lifetime. I don't know. You got any player bet you're looking at for this weekend there, Hoss?
Yeah, we can go there to San Francisco and Philadelphia. Brock Purdy's passing is at 219.5, 219 and a half.
Over, right?
No, Philadelphia's got a really good defense. We're going to say lower. They came against a subpar Dallas Cowboy defense. He only passed for 215 yards. They had plenty of possessions where they could have gone, and he didn't. I have nothing but respect for my boy, Glock Purdy, okay?
Over.
He is.
Look, if someone's listening to this and they take the under, I told you so. Take the over on that one. All right, go ahead.
So we go under just because they're in Philly. Don't know what the weather's going to be like still. And Philadelphia obviously is a very great defense. So we will go under there. I also would take their kicker, Robbie Gould. His line's out 1.5 field goals. I take the over. I don't think they're going to get to the end zone as much, just like what they did with the Cowboys. And then you have Jalen Hurts, 48.5 rushing yards. I definitely take the under with their defense. I don't think he's going to be scrambling out of the pocket that much, especially with that shoulder that he's making it seem like it's not that big of a deal, but it's something. So I think he'll be forced to pass. Still, he can get 24 yards a half in rushing, so I would take the under on that one. And then you have the Sunday game at 5:30, Cincy and KC. Joe Burrow, man. Joe Shiesty. The kid's nice. I love everything about him, his charisma, his swagger about the game. He's
that mofo. He's got that dog in him.
He's got that dog. And when they brought up his x-rays of his lungs, they saw some pit bulls in there, and they said he's him. He's got that dog in him.
Wait. He's not him. He's not him yet. Okay? I don't know what the him, because I'm old. You're younger. But before he's the man, he's got to get some championships, bro.
Listen, first game back after ACL surgery, goes all the way to the Super Bowl with a trash team and no O-line. Still puts up a good fight. Beats Patrick Mahomes at home in Kansas City. Came off arguably the best college quarterback season in his senior year at LSU. Obviously, I hate to say that, but
some say that's the best team of all time. I don't know, but how can you argue with it?
I mean, you really can't. But the stats speak for themselves, right? So we've seen how good and reliable he's been with the ball all season, no matter the weather. I would take his interception lower at the half, saying that he's not going to throw an interception. So what do you think about that?
Man, that's a hard one. No interception by halftime. If he's going to throw an interception, it's going to be in the first. It's going to be in the first half, because by the time the second, if he's going to do it, it's going to be in the first half.
And he hasn't had any interceptions last 3 games either. Like, he's rolling.
He's due. He's due now.
He's due.
He's due. He's going to hit this. They're going to get him. They're going to get him one time in the first half. He's due. He's due.
Okay. Next one is Jamar Chase, 7 receptions. Take the over here. Jamar Chase is an elite wide receiver. He only had 5 catches his last game against Buffalo, but he still had 8 targets. The 2 games before, he had 9 catches, and the game before that, 8 catches, and he was targeted 12 and 13 times. It's really hard to argue with those stats. Him and Joe Burrow are just their
second best receiver in the league, probably behind Jeffries in Minnesota, right?
Absolutely. When healthy, absolutely.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah. Then you got the Patrick Mahomes passing yards at 273.5. I'd take the lower. I mean, only because he's struggling throwing the football. We saw what happened whenever he rolled his ankle. Whenever he had a healthy ankle at Vegas, he had 202 passing yards. Honestly, it's a hit or miss with this one, just because obviously he has Kelsey, he has Juju, and then boys. He could throw to Kelsey alone for 120 yards. I mean, he had 14 catches this last game. He broke the record, his own record.
Kelsey is him, bro. Already there. GOAT tight end of all time. Sorry, Gronk. Sorry, Gonzalez.
Kelsey's you don't have to apologize to Gonzalez, but go ahead.
Hey, Gonzalez had a great career. Broke the record for catches by a tight end. So, I mean, he had a great career, but he ain't no Travis Kelsey. That's all I know.
Well, those are 3 player picks for both those NFL games.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, well, that's going to do it. We're going to call it there. We don't want to be here all night. We're going to be back next week talking some offense for San Antonio Brahmas. We'll have some more player picks in the betting line if you want to do that. Talk a little bit about those championship games coming up next week. Even do a little recap on the NFL. We love football here. Any and all things football, any and all things XFL here at the San Antonio Brahma Bullpen. Thanks for participating. Thanks for being here. Leave comments below. Tell us what we need to do better or worse. I think next time I might be drinking whiskey while I do this. I don't know if that's allowed. Haas, got anything? Closing remarks?
That's it.
Till next week, this is the San Antonio Brahma Bullpen. Horns forward, baby.